playoff postgame. Game 1 of the NBA Finals between the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder in the books with the final score 111-110. Indiana now currently leads the series 1-0 as we welcome you back inside of Paycom Center, the site for tonight's Game 1 matchup between the Thunder and the Pacers. And this one, well, it came down to the wires. We welcome you inside. I'm Paris Lawson sitting alongside Royce Young. And Royce, this one's tough, right? And this is what you expect coming into the NBA Finals. Two teams playing at their highest level. And the Thunder, they had control of this game. They led for the majority of this game until the final 30 seconds, and Indiana able to walk away with a very, very narrow win.
It's what the Pacers have done all postseason. They've stolen games from teams, and that's why they've been so successful. And look, they give the Pacers a ton of credit for the execution that they had down the stretch in this one. And, you know, as you kind of think back through this game, I think there's going to be a lot of moments and opportunities that didn't go the Thunder's way. You know, in the first half, the Thunder lead by 12, but they turned Indiana over 20 times in that first half. If we've all watched the Thunder play all season long, that lead should have been bigger than 12, given that the fact that the Pacers turned it over so much. So that was a missed opportunity there. And then just as the game went along, I mean, I'm thinking of the Miles Turner banked in three. There was a couple free throws that bounced around and found their way in. There was a number of steals that felt like they were about to be open court steals for the Thunder, and they turned into Obi Toppin threes or an Aaron Nesmith three, just living kind of on the edge of almost a huge play for Oklahoma City that became a monumental play for the Pacers as they engineered a comeback. And then, of course, Tyrese Halliburton able to hit that game-winning shot right there as the floor is kind of broken after SGA missed a jumper. Yeah,
this is kind of the epitome of two teams doing what they do best. For the majority of this game, we saw Oklahoma City's defense do what they've done all season long. Just smother teams, swarm them, force turnovers. At halftime, the Thunder had forced 19 Indiana turnovers, and Indiana only had 15 made field goals. So it felt like the Thunder really were getting into that rhythm of what they do defensively. And then the second half, we started to see, I feel like, Indiana maybe settle into the game a little bit more and settle into that defense.
They took care of the ball better. I mean, they scored 35 points in the fourth quarter. And, you know, some of that, again, was kind of off of, you know, the best way to describe it is just kind of trash. Like, it's just the ball got lost. It kind of got worked around, found an open shooter, broken floor, and the ball went in the basket right there. And again, it feels like a very back-breaking loss for the Thunder. I think everybody probably had immediate flashbacks to Aaron Gordon's three that stole game one for Denver in a similar fashion. And so, look, everybody understands the situation coming into this series, and the Thunder were heavily favored, all those sorts of things. Pacers are here to play, and they're a good team. They won the Eastern Conference for a reason. The Thunder did not take them lightly in this game, but I think everybody got a glimpse of that this is going to be a challenge for Oklahoma City to overcome here, much in the same way that they had to overcome challenges throughout the Western Conference to get to this point.
And you have to give the Pacers a lot of credit. I mean, this is not an easy environment for opponents to play in. Royce, I mean, you can attest to just how loud and buzzing it was inside of this building from the very beginning. I mean, traditionally, Thunder fans sit down after the first shot goes in for Oklahoma City, and I'm pretty sure this crowd was standing through the entirety of the first quarter.
I mean, there's a lot of, it's like, I feel like I have a headache check. It's like, did Royce get a headache after the game? The crowd was very, very loud if he did. And so, like, I've got one.
Okay, go.
So it was very loud. I might have a headache for other reasons, though, honestly, at this point, considering what happened in those final few minutes. But, I mean, the crowd was on tilt, and there were so many moments, Paris, and again, credit to the Pacers, that you felt like it was kind of that knockout blow, or it was teetering on that knockout blow. You know, the steal from Dub on the inbounds pass, it felt like that was kind of one of those knockout blows from the Thunder, the and one from Alex Caruso, all those moments, but Thunder just weren't able to finally kind of land that full haymaker. The Pacers, I think 12 was maybe the biggest lead the Thunder had. 15. But the Thunder were never able to really push it up into that 20-point range, where it felt like they had full control of the game.
Yeah, and it was interesting, right? The final 4 or 5 minutes of this game, the Pacers would cut the lead to 4. The Thunder would stretch it back out to 8. The Thunder would cut it, or the Pacers would cut it to 4. Thunder tried to stretch it back out, and then it got down to 2. Then it got down to 1, and that's where the Pacers were really able to start making moves in this game and escape Oklahoma City in game 1 with a 1-point victory. All right, let's get you over to the press room so we can hear from Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault postgame.
You know, that's a really good team. Credit them, you know, for not only tonight but their run. They've had so many games like that that have seemed improbable, and they just play with a great spirit. They keep coming, they keep playing. They made plays, they made shots. So they deserve to win by a point. We got to learn from it. There's obviously a lot of things we can clean up, but credit them. They went and got that game.
Again in the front row.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Mark, was this reminiscent of Denver game 1 to you, just controlling much of the game and until the very end? And is that experience you can maybe lean back on?
Yeah, I mean, the playoffs take you to the limit, and they put your back against the wall in games, in series. If you make it this far, you have to endure to do that, and it gives you rich experiences that you can draw on. So the biggest experience we've had is understanding that every game's a new game. The most important game in the series is always the next one, regardless of the outcome. We would have liked to win tonight, but tonight was a starting point, not an end point. There's a lot of things we can improve on. There's a lot of things I'm sure Indiana thinks they can improve on, and now the series starts to evolve. So would have liked to get the game, but need to be a better team in game 2.
On your right, Tim, third row.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. What changed defensively for you guys, offensively for them after halftime?
I thought they loosened us up a little bit. They took better care of the ball. Obviously, I'm sure that was a huge theme for them coming in and at the half. So I thought they did a good job of attacking. They made a couple more shots, obviously. We'll have to look at it, but I thought our conversion on the turnovers in the first half hurt us a little bit. Like, we didn't get the kind of juice for that squeeze that we normally do when we turn teams over, so we can take a look at that. I thought offensively for us, we hit the paint like crazy. We took like 50-something shots in the paint for only 40-something points. So we can look at those. We got to finish stronger. We got to be stronger with the ball, or we got to spray some of those out and look at those pictures. But this is what happens when you play a team. You learn them, you get a feel for them in game 1, and then the series starts to evolve.
On the left over here.
Mark, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Obviously, opportunity lost to lead all night and then lose. How do you not let it trickle into the next game? And what have your guys done to lead you to believe that it won't be sort of a, maybe the defining game of this series?
Well, there's a lot more games left in the series, so we understand that. We got to get ourselves to 0, as we always do. That's a habit that hopefully we've formed. These guys have made a habit of being able to get ourselves centered and play our best game in the next game. So you got to tip your hat to them. They got us tonight. They played really well. They deserve to win. But we got to learn from it. We got to improve like we would if we had won the game, and get ourselves ready for game 2. It's really what it comes down to.
Front right, Nick.
Mark, you mentioned the conversion and some of the stuff you had around the rim that just didn't go down. What did you notice in real time about maybe the angles you all were getting on drives, or some things there that you all can clean up in game 2?
Yeah, it was a little bit of everything. I thought we were a little sloppy on some gathers. They got a piece of the ball on some of the plays. I thought there were some that we probably jammed up there, and we could have gotten to 2 feet or sprayed the ball back out. And some of them we just didn't finish, which is part of the game. I mean, we don't have to be perfect, but we do have to learn from it. It's a team we haven't played a ton this season, so tonight gave us a feel for them, and we've got to take that feel, figure out where we can improve, and just improve as the series goes on. That's always our mantra through these series, is we just have to grow with the series. That's going to be our challenge in this one. But we got to get to work on that, obviously.
Myron up front.
Yeah, a couple of things. One, you got the turnovers tonight, 25, but they didn't produce a lot of points, and you led the playoffs in points off turnovers. And also, Obi Toppin, it's like every time he came with a big three-pointer, was he doing something to get open, or was they running some stuff for him? But it seemed like he really hurt you tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the turnovers, that I thought was a big part of it. Our conversion, we want to be fast up the floor. I didn't think we converted a lot of advantageous situations tonight, so we can learn from that. Like I said, we want to be in the paint against this team. Thought we got there a lot and just didn't convert those. So offensively, there's things we can look at. And then defensively, they made some plays. They made some shots. I mean, Nesmith made some big shots, and Toppin, shot the heck out of the ball. I don't know what they shot as a team from 3. I think it's like 45 or 46. But they shot the hell out of the ball. They have all playoffs. We got to look at the ones that, if they're contested and they just make a shot, you tip your hat. But there was a lot of them that were on our breakdowns. We got to learn from those and credit them. They made us pay when we made mistakes tonight.
Dan in the center.
On Yahoo Sports. Seemed like with some of the switching that you guys were getting into, they were able to get a little bit more of their, Siakam or Turner on some of your smalls. Is that, I mean, obviously that's part of game plan, but is that something that you're concerned about with the height advantages they're able to get to down low?
Only if they take advantage of it. You know, some of it's the cost of doing business, you know, to be able to get perimeter speed on the court, get more switching in the game. I mean, it's obviously something that is a trade-off, but we can look at it. You know, I thought the small lineup at the end of the first half looked pretty good. Offensively, we didn't move the scoreboard, but I thought we were getting some good stuff there. That's why I went back to it down the stretch. But, you know, when we're small, we have to be pressure-oriented and contain the ball. And I thought they got some cracks against us that hurt us a little bit more than the post-ups did. But we'll look at everything. You know, we obviously have to be better if we want to win game 2.
Next row back.
Yeah, you had a starting lineup change. What was the reasoning going to Wallace? And then, you know, late you closed with no centers. Are you seeing at least early that this might be a smaller series?
It was tonight. You know, that was obviously the intention. I thought getting Kaysen out there really defensively, you know, giving us another perimeter guy for Halliburton and Nembhard, you know, that was the idea there. We've been pretty fluid with the lineup throughout the course of the season. Kaysen started 40-something games. We changed the lineup a million times. We obviously heading in the playoffs, but that's why we do it during the regular season, is so that it's not earth-shattering when we do it. So I thought the guys adapted. We got off to good starts in both halves. But we'll see how the series goes. I mean, we obviously have a lot of optionality. We'll look at everything. You know, we'll look at anything we can to try to give ourselves the best chance to win.
Fourth row on the right.
I think Indiana scored 12 points in the final 2.5 minutes. Do you think it was the pace that kind of put you guys at a disadvantage, or how would you assess how your defense performed in the last 2.5 minutes?
A little bit of everything. I mean, they made some plays on some of those plays. They made some shots. They got a couple that, you know, you wish you get back. We had bonus fouls, which were costly. And then offensively, you know, we didn't move the scoreboard as well as we could have. And so you just add all that up, and that's how you get that sort of comeback. But, you know, you tip your hat to them. They made plays. They've done it all playoffs. This is part of their identity. They have a lot of belief. They never think they're out of it, so they play with great confidence even when their back's against the wall. They proved that tonight. And, you know, to me, that's a game that they went and got. And it's a game that we can look at and improve in a lot of different areas. And that's our challenge right now as we head into game 2.
Last question over here, Randall, third row on the left.
Daniel Bell, BSO. Their last turnover came with a lot of time left in the game. Did you feel like there was anything that you guys stopped doing to cause those turnovers? Did you feel like there was anything that they did to stop turning the ball over?
We can look at it. I mean, it's never our like end game, you know, is to like turn them over. It's really about disruption, you know, disruption of their rhythm, getting our pressure into the game, using our speed. And oftentimes that yields turnovers, but it also yields non-rhythm shots. And so if they're lining up rhythm shots or getting, you know, deep in the paint on us, then you know that we've had some sort of breakdown of that. But it's not just about turning them over. It's about trying to force them away from what's comfortable. And I thought we did that for much of the game. But obviously, down the stretch, they did a great job of generating what they needed to win.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
Shai will be up next.
Yeah, some good takeaways there from Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault about what the team could do better. Just, you know, off the top of his head looking at this game, the Thunder did get a significant amount of turnovers in this game, forcing 25 Indiana turnovers. That's what we've seen from Oklahoma City all season long. However, what's interesting in this one is the 11 points off turnovers, which is a little bit less than what we've seen from Oklahoma City in terms of converting those turnovers into points on the other end of the floor. So it's definitely something that Thunder's going to look at. Let's get you back over to the press conference room now so we can hear from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the podium.
They got to look and winning. I don't know. Basketball, ups and downs. It is what it is. You can't do anything about it now. Just got to be better for next game.
Joe?
Aside of the Oklahoman, Shai, was this reminiscent of Game 1 Denver at all for you? You guys control most of the game. They come back late. And if so, can you sort of draw back on that experience?
Yeah, we just got to focus on being better. The series isn't 1st to 1, it's 1st to 4. So we have 4 more games to get. They have 3, and that's just where we are. We got to understand that, and we got to get to 4 before they get to 3 if we want to win the NBA championship, and it's that simple. It's not rocket science. We lost Game 1. We have to be better.
Nick on the right.
Shai, in being better, what do you feel are some controllables, particularly on the offensive end of the floor, just given the number of looks you guys got in the paint, downhill? It seemed like you guys were getting downhill a lot, but those shots weren't going down.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not too sure. It's hard to have that answer 20 minutes after the game. But yeah, for sure, it's definitely areas to get better on both ends of the floor, and so the next 2 days before, try to get better and then come out here and be a better team for game 2.
Jenny, here on the left.
Shai, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. You guys have, when you've had games that have slipped through your fingers in these playoffs, you've found a way to come back and make good on that. But in the finals, with the pressure being what it is, how can you guys make sure that you do that again? Or is this kind of an unknown because you guys as a group haven't been to this point yet?
Yeah, I think as much as we can, we just got to treat it like every other game. Every other situation we've been in. Yes, we haven't been in this situation, but it doesn't mean our character has to change or what we did last time. It's still basketball. It's still the game of basketball that we grew up playing. The rules don't change just because we're in the finals. So it's like we've been in this situation before. In the other situation, we handled it well. We were better for game 2, and that's the goal.
Tim, on your right, third row.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. Shai, I'm sure you are aware of just the crazy clutch run that Halliburton's on in the playoffs all season long, really. He's got the ball in his hands. Last seconds ticking down. What's that feel like for you?
I don't know. It happened so fast. I feel like we got matched. He got down going right, pulled up from midi, and knocked down the shot. I don't know. It didn't feel like anything crazy. He just made a play with the time winding down. Made a good play.
Michael Grange, the middle.
Shai, you guys had a long layoff. You talked before the game about sort of trying to fill that time. How do you feel like you responded to the energy in the building and the energy the Pacers brought in the early part of the game, at least?
Yeah, I thought we were pretty good. We had control of the game for the most part of it. Now it is a 48-minute game, and they teach you that lesson more than anyone else in the league, the hard way. But yeah, I thought we came out with the right intentions, right energy. The crowd was amazing, obviously. We just got to do a better job of closing.
Over here on your left, third row.
Daniel Belbia. So, Shai, the looks that you guys got, do you feel like those are just normal? Do you feel like they were doing anything specific to kind of throw you guys off?
Nah, not really. They played their style of basketball. We played our style of basketball. I feel like we got some looks that usually go down that just didn't. But that's never an excuse. We've won plenty of games despite not shooting as well as we know we can. And that's something that we don't hang our hat on. So there's definitely so many areas to be better on. And that's what we have to focus on for game 2.
Next question, the back row on the left.
Shai, Leandro Sarhan from ESPN Brazil. You guys were in a similar situation before when Aaron Gordon hit that game winner. What's the similarities? How can you guys bounce back after such a, hard? Probably it's hard to bounce back after that.
Yeah. Like me personally, how you lose doesn't really matter. Obviously, it sucks, the last second shot, but the energy in the arena and stuff like that. But we lost at the end of the day. We lost game 1. We've lost game 1 before. And on the other side of that, we came out a better team. And that's our goal. That's our mentality, to try to learn a lesson from the loss, like we always do, and move forward and be better.
Anyone with a final question? Thank you, Shai.
Yeah, you hear Shai Gilgeous-Alexander there kind of referring to the Thunder's experience. To your point, Royce, the Thunder went through this in game 1 in the Denver series, and they do this all the time where they take all of those experiences, they don't go to waste, and you know that they're going to apply them in an opportunity like this.
No question. Again, that's what getting back to zero is all about. It's, it's not just based on the outcome. Whether you win or you lose, you do have to look forward to the next game. And that's Coach Mark talked about that as well, is that, look, there was going to be a game 2 to play, whether the Thunder won this one or whether the Thunder lost this one. And so it's obviously disappointing, especially with the way that the Thunder did control this game throughout. I thought Coach Mark made a great point just about the paint scoring from the Thunder. With as many paint attempts as OKC got, it felt like the Thunder lived in the paint and just did not convert at a very high rate. I think it was 10 of 27 in the paint. in the first half, and that's just not a high enough conversion rate, at least what we typically see from this team. So those are areas that this team can certainly improve upon as you go into game 2.
Yeah, we heard a lot from Coach Daigneault and, of course, from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, whether it was, the Indiana Pacers just making some really big shots down the stretch, guys like Aaron Nesmith and Miles Turner. What were your kind of bigger takeaways after listening to Coach Daigneault there?
Yeah, I think, again, it's, you feel the weight of each game, and it's obvious that this is the NBA Finals, and you expect to win on your home floor.
Yeah.
And again, all the things coming into this game, and so much outside noise about it. But there was a game to play, and that's kind of what Coach Mark was talking about. Is that when you kind of zoom out from it, the ball's got to go in the basket at different times. The Pacers made some shots down the stretch. Some of them were lucky, honestly. I mean, Miles Turner banking that one in. And then, I think of other plays in the game, like the lane violation. I mean, this was a 1-point game.
Good point.
And a lane violation added a point on the board for the Pacers. So a lot of things just kind of went their way, but that's sports. And that's how sometimes outcomes get made, is because of breaks and things that go into the other team's way.
Well, in Coach Daigneault's words, the playoffs, well, they push you to your limits. And the Thunder, no doubt, going to take a lot of information from this game. And we'll be back for game 2 right here in this building. And we'll be back right after this break. Stick around with us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, have you heard what's happening at Mathis Home? Get new lower prices all summer long with price drop alerts all over the store. They have all the latest looks at unbeatable prices. Like this big sofa with curved arms and 5 plush throw pillows. They dropped the price to just $5.99. That's an incredible value. And with their huge selection, you're sure to find the style that's just right for you. In stock with fast, free delivery. Look for price drop alert tags and save now at your furniture superstore, Mathis Home.
Leadership starts at home. That's why Ford is from America, for America. And with a lineup of our most popular Ford trucks and SUVs, we're for Oklahoma, too.
We're
including F-150, Bronco, and Expedition. That's our leadership lineup. Right now, get employee pricing. You pay what we pay. Ford, from America, for America. At your best in Oklahoma Ford dealers. Proud truck partner of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Riverwind is bringing the heat this June at OKC's favorite casino. So get the party started with the hottest jackpots in town.
Book a stay at our hotel for a weekend of fun with friends.
Win like an all-star on your go-to games.
Grab a bite and a bev at one of our fabulous eateries.
Go for gold with your wild card and play for your chance at $80,000 in our Sunshine Riches giveaway.
For the best summer yet and unforgettable good times, make it Riverwind.
Back in Oklahoma City and inside of Paycom Center, the Thunder and the Pacers doing battle here in the NBA Finals. And this one, well, it was a nail-biter down to the wire. The Indiana Pacers escape Game 1 with a 1-point victory. And joining us now on Thunder Playoff Postgame to help break everything down is News 9's own Steve McGeehee. And Steve, first things first, I just got to get your perspective on the final 5 minutes of this game. What did you see there?
Indiana making some shots, some three-pointers, and of course the 21-footer by Halliburton to win the game. It was just it was kind of tough to watch. It reminded me a little bit of Denver, but in a different situation though. But the last-second shot, that Aaron Gordon hit, and then Halliburton hits this one, as we've seen him make those shots before in the playoffs. It was just that the ball had a hard time going in the basket for the Thunder down the stretch, and that's why Indiana was able to win this game. Indiana sloppy with the basketball in the first half. They cleaned that up in the second half. But I thought when Lou Dort had that block down there, that was going to be the turning point, and they were going to go close the door up, because Oklahoma City was making all their free throws. They just couldn't put. Dub missed a shot, SGA missed a shot, and there you go. You lose by 1 point. It's tough.
Steve, do we hear Lou's at the podium?
I think I got word. Lou Dort is now at the podium.
Sorry, Steve.
Hang on. We'll be right back with you. Let's go over and let's hear from Lou.
Lugan, ça a été excellent dans ce match-là. Évidemment, vous n'avez pas le résultat que vous voulez à la fin. Ça a été comment d'avoir cette énergie-là énorme de la foule, puis de vivre ce moment crève-cœur à la fin?
C'est bon, c'était bien. La foule va toujours nous supporter, même si on gagne ou on perd ou n'importe quoi durant tout le match. Ça, on aime ça, mais on a des trucs à travailler. Demain, on va regarder du film, on va voir qu'est-ce qu'on peut s'améliorer sur. C'est sûr que on aurait voulu gagner ce match-là, mais faut nous battre 4 fois. So, on a encore d'autres matchs à jouer.
Jenny, over here on the left on 2.
Hey, Lou, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Shai was just in here saying, doesn't really matter how you lose, it's still a loss. But the way this one went down, how do you guys guard against not having it have carryover?
I mean, he's right. He's right. You know, the games is ups and downs all the time, and then you just gotta finish it. You know, losing like that hurts, but at the same time, there's a couple of stuff that we could have done better. And then it's a long series, so got to get back tomorrow, watch film, see the stuff that we can get better at, and then right back at it in a couple of days.
Up here in the front, Joe.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Lou, was this kind of reminiscent of Denver game one for you, just a game that you controlled for the most part, game-winning shot at the end, and is that experience you can sort of draw back upon given how that series ended for you?
For sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, it happened before. Obviously, we had the right approach throughout the whole series against Denver. So, like I said, this is a different team. So we got to go back, watch film, and really get better and try and not let that happen again.
Over the front row, Nick.
Hey, Lou, the things that you guys have relied upon since the beginning of the build, 0-0 mentality, 48-minute game. How, I guess, maybe anticipatory are you that those are the things that are going to be tested here in the finals?
Yeah, still the same mentality, honestly. Next game, we go on with a 0-0 mentality and just to go out there and trying to win the game. And, like I said, it's one game, it's a long series, so we'll be better next game.
Second row, Tim, on the right.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. Lou, you guys had them really in hell for the first half as far as your defensive pressure. What happened? What changed in the second half for you guys defensively?
I guess they did a better job taking care of the ball. Our intensity has been the same. Like they hit a lot of tough shots. But that's just how we play. We play really hard, and we trying to turn them over. And then, I feel like they just took care of the ball.
Over here on the fourth row on the left.
Jerry Ramsey from the franchise. Lou, despite the loss, I mean, you shot the ball pretty well and sort of kind of kept the Thunder in offensively for a little bit there. Just talk about, getting into finals game one and just kind of putting that on your shoulders. Defensive specialist, sure, but knocking down these shots to keep them in the game.
Yeah, just got to shoot the right shots, honestly. Be in the right spots. We got a lot of guys that attract a lot of defenders. So, whenever I can get open, I'll try my best to do it and to shoot it with confidence.
Go ahead, Dan, in the middle.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Two have forced them into, I think it was 19 turnovers in the first half, but only be up 12 at halftime. What was the process like offensively for you guys in the first half? And then, knowing that the lead kind of, you felt like you maybe even should have been up bigger than that. Was that any kind of concern when you went in at half?
I mean, some of the looks that we usually make, we miss them, I guess. We turn the ball over. They turn the ball over a lot, so we could have converted. Could have done a better job of converting on offense, but they're a good team. They're in this position for a reason too. So, like I said, watch film and be better next game.
Last two in the third row.
Alexandre Tournier de RDS. Évidemment, c'est pas le résultat que tu voulais, mais au niveau personnel, tu étais partout sur le terrain, défensivement, à l'attaque avec 5 tirs de 3 points. Comment tu as vécu ce premier match-là pour toi en grande finale?
C'était le fun. On a travaillé fort pour se rendre jusqu'ici. J'ai travaillé fort pour me rendre jusqu'ici. Alors, je vais enjoy vraiment ça avec mes teammates. Puis, c'est pas le résultat qu'on voulait, mais c'est une longue série, puis on a encore beaucoup de chance. Alors, on va garder la tête haute, puis on va continuer à s'améliorer pour le prochain match.
Michael, straight ahead, last one.
Lou, Mike Grange from Sportsnet. You personally, you did have the 4 steals, a couple of blocks, that big block on Naismith. Was there something you saw as you were studying this team that allowed you to be that aggressive, that successful when you did go for the ball?
Honestly, just being in the game. On that end of the floor, I move a lot. I pay a lot of attention to some of the stuff that they do. So anytime I can, sneak one in there, a steal or a block or whatever, I'll do it. And that's just how I play. And then, whenever I got to do a play like that for my teammates, I'll do it.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
Steve, we just heard from Lou there, and what I was actually going to ask you, and Lou addressed it there, was just talking about the first half where the Thunder turned them over 19 times, but weren't able to really build a bigger lead than what we typically see from the Thunder. What did you see in that first half, and why weren't they able to kind of turn those defensive stops into offense?
It comes down to, they didn't shoot the ball very well. That's the bottom line. They played great defense. Indiana was going to be careful with the basketball, and they'd never seen a defense like this season, and Oklahoma City's defense did enough, but the problem was Oklahoma City could not score on offense. That was the problem. That's why Indiana kind of hung around this game, even though Oklahoma City had a 15-point lead in the fourth, or 14-point lead. Was it 15 or 14?
15.
So, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. So this comes down to Oklahoma City not making shots. They've been in an 0-1 hole before. They know what this feels like. So I expect them to come out with a vengeance on Sunday in Game 2.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that. This Thunder team bounces back. We've seen it time and time again. Steve McGehee, as always, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, we've got more coming for you here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. We are breaking down all the action here, but before we go to break, we're going to go back to the podium because Jaylen Williams, J-Dub, is sitting down addressing the media. Let's listen in.
The lead instead of trying to extend it or, keep being aggressive.
Dan, third row.
Jaylen, after such a quick turnaround like that, such a reversal of fortune, how do you guys avoid, shell shock, for lack of a better term, being able to go from that high to that low? How do you ride that out getting into Game 2?
Well, it sucks, but we have been here before. Obviously, the Denver series, probably, honestly, around the same thing, to be totally honest. So we'll get back to 0-0, look at what we can do to get better, and it's first to 4. So regardless of if it's the finals or, round 1, round 2, you still have to win 4 games. So we'll take that and be ready for Game 2.
Next question here in the front.
Just on clutch points, relating to that loss or, the way it went down in Game 1 against Denver Nuggets, what are some of the shortcomings that you can somewhat relate to in this game, especially down the stretch in that fourth quarter?
Had a couple of defensive breakdowns that cost us, a couple offensive rebounds that cost us, just little stuff down the stretch. When shots, I think we had a really good offensive process going through. We got some good shots towards the end, but when shots aren't falling, you can't have, defensive breakdowns like we did.
Jenny, next row back.
Hey, Jaylen, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. For as many turnovers as you guys had, you only had 11 points off those turnovers. How do you turn that into more points? Was that just an off shooting night, or was there something else going on there?
Nah, I think you got to look at what kind of turnovers we're getting to. Sometimes you get them you get a turnover in the backcourt. Sometimes the defense is behind you now, so you try and obviously pace out and run something. We'll look at it though. I think, like I said, the goal of our defense is not really to get steals. It's a byproduct of how solid we are on defense and how well we're communicating and playing defense. But just steals are a part of the game. Obviously, you want to convert more on them, but at the same time, you got to understand what kind of steals we're getting and just kind of how they're coming.
Howard to the middle.
Back from the ringer. Jaylen, you've, I'm sure, watched a lot of those Pacer comebacks earlier in the postseason and a lot of Halliburton's shots. What was it like to be on the other end of it? And, what did you think when you saw them against other teams versus having to be on the other end of it tonight?
It sucks. I don't know.
Next row up.
Jerry Ramsey's franchise. Jaylen, none of their guys had 20 points, but 6 of them were in double figures. Can we talk about how hard it is to defend a team like this that doesn't have, especially in this game, a primary scorer, and it just seems like everybody's chipping in?
Can you repeat your question? My fault.
None of their guys had 20. They had 6 guys in double figures, though. Just how difficult is it to guard a team like this that, you can't really focus on one primary scorer. Everybody's just sort of chipping in here and there.
That's what makes them good. I think that's what makes us good as well. Like I was saying earlier, just throughout the week, we're very similar in how we play. And they understand that, it's 5 people out on the floor, and you're definitely a more dangerous team when everybody's involved, and they do a good job of moving the ball and playing with pace and doing stuff like that, which is why the loss sucks a little bit, just because we had controlled the game for as much as we did and kind of let it go away a little bit towards the end.
was wondering on the missed shots, did they come out of your hand good? Did you feel good about some of the ones that you'd love to have back?
Yeah, for sure. As a basketball player, even if you probably ask anybody in Indiana, like, they're going to have shots that they thought went in or thought felt good. Like, that's just the nature of the game. I think a lot of it is just continuing to have a good process about how you get the shots, and I've repped a lot of the shots that I shot tonight over and over and over again, consistently throughout my career, this year, the playoffs. So all you can do is shoot them and not get scared to shoot them. I think that's the biggest thing. So go into every game confident in my work and go from there.
Anyone with a final question? Thank you, Jaylen.
Yep.
The two together?
Yeah, a lot of takeaways here between Lou Dort, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Jaylen Williams here. After what he said, Royce, what stands out top of mind for you?
Yeah, I think Dub just kind of, reinforcing a lot of what we heard from the other guys, which is, you do have to kind of try to put this one behind you, win or lose, and turn the page. And, you mentioned it, Paris, and Dub was talking about it, that there's a lot of things to learn from a game one, and these teams haven't played each other in multiple months. They can watch all the tape they want to watch and get as prepared as they want to get. But there's a new experience of playing that team, kind of finding out what personnel might match up the best. We saw a lot of different players play in this game tonight. So there's a lot to learn from this game one, and we'll start to see some of those adjustments and that tinkering go on as we progress to game two.
Yeah, some fresh tape for Oklahoma City to go back and look after getting ready for game two here in this building. All right, stick with us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. We will be right back right after this to get you all ready for game two in Paycom Center.
My doctor is my hero. My doctor makes me happy, makes me feel safe. It helps me get strong.
We're just so grateful that we don't have to travel out of state.
Oklahoma Children's Hospital cares for my child like their own. Gives us hope.
And has our trust.
Last year, 35% of all auto accident deaths were rollovers. If you've been in a wreck, don't hesitate to call. This is why you need our number in your phone. This could be you. When you call our firm, you're going to get one of us, not some paralegal or office manager.
Most lawyers, they take more money than their clients. Most of the time, a lot more.
We don't, and we guarantee it.
With OG&E Smart Hours, you control your energy and your savings. If you're a busy bee, go with Smart Hours Daily, where daily price alerts let you maximize savings. Or how about Smart Hours Fixed? Just set it and forget it. Night owl? Choose Smart Hours overnight. No matter which you choose, with Smart Hours, you control your energy and your savings. When you reduce your energy use between 2 and 7 p.m. this summer, you help the grid, the environment, and your wallet. But you have to sign up to save. So sign up now at oge.com/smarthours.
Welcome back inside of Paycom Center here for Thunder Playoff Post-Game reaction to Game 1 inside of this building of the NBA Finals. The Pacers with a 1-point victory at the buzzer to take down the Oklahoma City Thunder here in Game 1 as we welcome you back inside of Paycom Center and into Thunder Playoff Post-Game. Now, we learned a lot from this series so far just between both of these teams going head-to-head, whether it was the fact that the Thunder played 10 players in the first quarter or it was the Indiana Pacers playing 10 players in the first quarter. So many different lineups, so many different rotations, lots to take away. So let's get you over to the press room so we can hear from Alex Caruso and Chet Holmgren, who are at the podium. Let's hear their takeaways.
Played good enough to win. We just didn't finish the game. And, credit to them. Like you said, that's how they've played for the whole postseason. They kind of stayed true to themselves and their brand of basketball. And, they threw in a couple big shots down the stretch. And that's kind of been a key for them, too, in a lot of those games that you talk about where they played at the end of the game where they might have, some type of comeback and end up winning. And then they found a way to get enough stops. We'll go back and watch the film. I don't think we played poorly. There'll probably be some stuff that we can clean up and, come back and get ready for Sunday.
Joe?
Masato, the Oklahoman. Alex, this was pretty reminiscent of Denver Game 1 for you guys. Obviously, go on to win that series. Do you look back on that experience at all now moving forward?
Yeah, you can. Just from a sense of, kind of the same game flow. We played good enough to win that game, controlled it for the most part, was up double digits most of that game as well. And then, they made some big shots. We made a couple mistakes down the stretch to give them free throws. Yeah, there's some similar stuff from that, and I think just moving forward, I think the mentality of this team is good. We'll go back to the film and see what coach has for us, and then move from there.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is either one of you guys. Myron Patton, OKC Sports. You ever been part of a game where you force 25 turnovers and you lose, 14 steals, that many takeaways, and you come up on the short end of things?
I don't know. I've played a lot of games in my lifetime, but not in the NBA probably.
All right, let's go Nick over on the left. Sorry. Yep, go ahead, Nick.
Chet, I was just wondering what you felt offensively out there as a team. It seemed like you guys got a lot of opportunities in the paint, a lot of stuff going downhill. Do you feel like the angles that you had to the rim were good, or maybe some opportunities for improvement there?
I mean, there's always opportunities for improvement. We're going to go back and see where we can be better, but I feel like we're getting really good cracks at it, getting good looks. We're getting advantages, and especially myself, just wasn't finishing those plays, got to slow down, and, look how I can kind of convert those.
Dan, straight ahead.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. They got up 23s in the second half. It seemed like some of the switching that was kind of buttoned up in the first half burst loose a little bit. What did you guys see in terms of their motion? What was giving you a hard time with them getting loose?
Made 20, or?
They got up 20. No, they went 10 for 20 in the second half.
I don't think they made 20.
Yeah, no, it was 10 for 20 in the second half.
10 for 20, 50. Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, they made a couple good ones, a couple highly contested ones too. You just got to eliminate the ones that we give up that are out of rotation, where we don't get there in time, or, are in early transition where we're not matched up. But, I gave them credit. They made big shots. Miles Turner, he banked in a sidestep three, made one in the corner. Neesmith made one highly contested over me. Nembhard threw in one off of ISO that was highly contested. Like, there's big shots. Maybe we just get the luck of the bounce and one of those don't go in. It's a different feeling, but at the same time, like, we got to look at the right stuff. And we'll look at that tomorrow. And Mark's done a good job all postseason of helping us recognize what it is we need to be better at. And like I said, we'll regroup and come back Sunday.
Barry, back left.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. Alex, with all the turnovers and steals, you didn't turn them into points off turnovers the way you usually do. Was there a reason for that, or just the transition wasn't as flowing as usual?
Yeah, I'm not sure off of first look, just on memory of the game. Maybe we could have been a little more aggressive getting to the rim with the ball in transition after some of those, instead of trying to come up and run sets. I don't know if that's actually true or not. That's just probably what, a history of basketball kind of tells me, that we probably weren't aggressive enough pushing those turnovers. But same time, that's a positive note. We create so many turnovers. Like, that's something you can hang your hat on, and maybe not get to that number every night, but it's a positive note to show that we were swarming and having good defense tonight.
Second row on your right, Tim.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. Alex, you're obviously aware of what Halliburton's been doing with the game on the line throughout the playoffs, in the regular season. What's the feeling when he's got the ball in his hands, time's ticking down, and he can win it?
I don't know. I felt confident we were still going to get a stop. I recognized they were going to play quick. As soon as Siakam got the rebound, or whoever, Neesmith got the rebound and threw it to Toppin, I knew that wasn't where the ball was going to end up. So I was trying to locate Tyrese, and Kaysen was on him, so I felt pretty confident. Kaysen's a great defender. Maybe he crawls up into him a little more and makes it, a little more contested and physical to get to that spot. But you don't want to live and die with the best player on the other team taking a game winner with a couple seconds left. You want to try and control the game coming down so it doesn't fall into that.
Jenny, here on your left.
Hey, Alex, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Shai said a little bit ago, he said, how you lose doesn't really matter. It's still a loss, but obviously this is the NBA Finals, game one, a game you guys had in control, and you then take the gut punch at the end. How do you make it just like any other loss, or do you look at it differently because the stakes are higher now?
I mean, it counts the same as when we lost by 40 at Minnesota in the last series. Counts the same as when we lost by 2 or 3 at Denver, Game 3 of that series. It's all worth one, and it's the silver lining of it. But at the same time, like it's a loss, and if we don't recognize that and feel that, if that doesn't hurt right now, or like you're not frustrated with it, then obviously there's something wrong with you. But yeah, I mean, we play the game to win, but they're all worth one. They got to get 3 more, we got to get 4 more.
Fourth row on your right.
Valencia King, Real Talk Sports. Alex, I've spoken to you about your veteran voice before. In moments like this, do you lean on that a little bit more, or as a team, are you guys already united with the message going forward?
Yeah, I mean, we referenced it earlier. The Denver series, Game 1, is eerily similar to this, so we have at least a little bit of experience to go off of. But yeah, I mean, my message will be the same. It'll change a little bit, but it's recover, get ready for Game 2. But at the same time, it's all the stuff we've talked about. It's worth one. It's the first of 4. They're a good team that's right there in the finals. We're a good team that's right there in the finals. We got to be just a little bit better.
Standing on your right, last question.
Chet, 56-39 was the final rebounding disadvantage for you guys. That kind of surprised me a little bit. Did you feel there were opportunities for you guys and that was a big missed one?
Yeah, obviously we could be better on the glass. That stood out to me too at first. They did have more offensive rebounds than we did, but we forced a lot of turnovers and got a lot of steals, so there's no rebound opportunity on plays like that because they're not even getting a shot up. So I guess that stat doesn't tell the whole story, but we can still continue to be better on that end in that area.
Thank you both. This concludes.
Yeah, one thing about this group, they are going to take every opportunity to look in the mirror and see where they can get better heading into Game 2. And Royce, we heard a lot from Alex Caruso and Chet Holmgren. Both of those guys so very thoughtful in this sort of situation. What did you take away from what they said?
Look, I thought AC said it great, honestly. And, it doesn't necessarily, absolve the disappointment of a game like this, but he's absolutely right. I mean, this is sports, this is basketball. Nesmith hit a really tough 3 in the corner over AC. That Nembhard 3 was a tough contested 3. The Miles Turner one was, luck. It banked in, but that's how basketball goes. These are great basketball players that are capable of making those shots. The Thunder did their jobs in those situations, and so you might be sitting here with a completely different feeling, going, "Whew, Thunder got away with one there and are up 1-0." If just one of those doesn't go in, so look, that doesn't necessarily absolve the outcome because this is sports are about winning and losing the games, and the Thunder lost this one, but it's never as bad as necessarily it seems. And I think a lot of people might have been latched onto the idea that this was going to be a short series. Again, the Pacers are a good team. The Thunder didn't come into this thinking that they were just going to roll right through them, and now I think everybody understands that this is going to be a big challenge.
This is the NBA Finals. Both of these teams had a very long road, a very difficult road to get here, so you're going to have the best basketball out there on the floor, and both of these teams definitely throwing a hard punch here in Game 1. All right, stick with us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. When we come back, we'll get you all squared away with everything you need to know as we head into Game 2.
Let Love's be your partner on your summer RV trip. Fuel up, grab a bite to eat, and stay the night at one of our 90 RV stops. Reserve an RV spot overnight and turn on amenities from your phone. With over 420 dog parks, we've even got your furry family members covered. We're the perfect pit stop for your next road trip. Love's, the heart of the highway.
Last year, 35% of all auto accident deaths were rollovers. If you've been in a wreck, don't hesitate to call. This is why you need our number in your phone. This could be you.
When you call our firm, you're going to get one of us, not some paralegal or office manager. Most lawyers, they take more money than their clients. Most of the time, a lot more. We don't, and we guarantee it.
Experience the sweet, vibrant flavors of Mexico in every spoonful of Brahms' new fancy sundaes. Enjoy a cascade of fresh fruits on Brahms' Tarta de Fresa Crema Sundae. Indulge in creamy cinnamon-kissed ice cream with silky caramel on the Chongo's Zamorano Sundae. Dive into strawberry paradise with Brahms' Fresas con Crema Sundae and savor each caramel-filled bite of Brahms Sopapilla Cheesecake Sundae. Authentic flavors, bold traditions, and irresistible sweetness in every scoop only at Brahms.
Welcome back to downtown Oklahoma City. We are here inside of Paycom Center for Thunder playoff postgame. Game 1 in the books. The Indiana Pacers with a narrow victory over the Thunder, 111-110, and Indiana now leads the series 1-0. Now, the Thunder up to this point in these playoffs, they have had an every other day cadence when it comes to games. Well, that is no longer the case here in the NBA Finals as we take a look at your upcoming schedule. Game 2 is going to be on Sunday, so 2 days away here inside of Paycom Center. That game tips off at 7 p.m. And then the Thunder, again, a couple of days off, and then Wednesday, Game 3 in Indiana at 7:30, and then Game 4 on Friday in Indy. That game also at 7:30 p.m. So the Thunder has a couple of days off. They have a chance to go back, get some rest, recover, but also digest all the takeaways that we've talked about here on this show already, Royce. And I imagine one of the big ones is going to be converting the looks that they get after they turn this team over.
You know, it made me think when you're saying that, Chet just kind of briefly mentioned it, and I kind of felt the same way watching Chet, is that, you know, he said one thing that he just feels like he needs to do is slow down a little bit. And I think for a lot of these guys, keep in mind, I mean, you know, they've been uncommon all year long, and they've shown up in big ways, but, you know, this is their first finals experience here. And so, you know, maybe that adrenaline was pumping a little bit too much. And, you know, Chet is normally a terrific finisher and was a little loose with the ball in different situations. So those, I think that they can look at some of those sorts of things. Obviously, maybe some lineup tinkering, how they're going to assess maybe how the starting lineup change worked in this one. We didn't see any double bigs in this one. Maybe that changes. Maybe the rotation trims a little bit. So a lot of things to look at, a lot of things to learn from in this game. Obviously, it's less fun to do those things coming off of a one-point loss, but there was always going to be things to take away and adjust to getting ready for a game 2.
The good news for the Oklahoma City Thunder, it's the first to 4, not the first to 1. So it is going to guarantee a game 2 inside of this building. We'll get a chance to see how this Oklahoma City Thunder team responds as they take on the Indiana Pacers in game 2 of these NBA Finals. Thank you so much for staying up late with us here inside of Paycom Center for these NBA Finals. Once again, our final score, 111-110, with Indiana leading this best-of-7 series 1-0. For Royce Young, I'm Paris Lawson. A reminder to join us for a complete breakdown and reaction following Game 2 on Sunday. Until then, good night from Paycom Center in downtown Oklahoma City.
My chest, my heart just, you know, like then, oh shoot, here she come. And so I panic.
Yeah.
And she just said, hey, how you doing? And I just, oh, look at his hair. And I pointed to a photograph.